In 1999, I was standing in my kitchen holding two envelopes that felt like the heavy, physical keys to my entire future. At 17, I was the top wrestling recruit in the country, and my choice was a collision of two worlds: the academic prestige of Harvard versus the legendary athletic powerhouse of Iowa. At the time, getting that Harvard acceptance wasn't just about a degree. It was a seal of approval that felt like a guaranteed ticket to financial security and the American dream. I chose the path of intellectual ambition, believing that the university held a monopoly on the knowledge and status I needed to succeed. But if I were standing in that same kitchen today, the weight of those envelopes would feel very different. The bargain that has sustained higher education for decades is currently breaking in real time. We used to believe that elite universities were the primary gatekeepers of knowledge, but that scarcity has vanished. Today, 85% of students are using generative AI to handle their coursework, and the same information taught in a Harvard lecture hall is available instantly and often for free on a smartphone. While the sticker price for that Harvard experience has ballooned by 163% since I applied, hitting nearly $87,000 a year, the job market is moving in the opposite direction. By 2024, only about 17% of job postings even bothered to ask for a 4-year degree. It's a bizarre contradiction. As the cost of the degree skyrockets, its necessity for finding work is cratering. You'd think this would be the end of the university as we know it, a slow slide into obsolescence. Yet while the libraries are getting quieter and the debt is hitting $1.8 trillion, there is one sector of campus where the money is more explosive than ever. In an era where information is free and AI can write your essays, schools like the University of Texas are generating over $330 million in a single year. And the Big Ten is signing media deals worth $7 billion. It leads to a realization that feels almost sacrilegious to the academic elite. The future of the American university might not be saved by its Nobel-winning labs or its prestigious credentials, but by the one thing a computer can never replicate: the high-stakes communal ritual of the Saturday afternoon kickoff. This isn't just about sports anymore. It's about the only thing left that the digital world can't automate: a reason to belong.
That really just, it sets the whole thing up perfectly, doesn't it? The stakes, the contradictions, all of it.
It feels like the ground is shifting under our feet.
It absolutely is. And for this deep dive, that's really what we're charting. We're looking at these three huge forces that are reshaping higher education in America.
Okay, so what are the three big pillars we're focusing on?
So first, we have to unpack the way the university's monopoly on credentials is just, well, it's eroding and fast, mostly because of AI and just the sheer abundance of information.
The end of scarcity.
The end of scarcity. Second, we're seeing this powerful resurgence, this demand for skills you can actually prove you have functional skills over just having a fancy name on your diploma.
And the third, because that's the one that feels like the big twist.
The third is the really surprising part. It's the massive central role of college sports. It's become this anchor, both financially and socially, that's holding the whole institution together, while the academic side is, struggling with its identity.
Okay, let's start with the money then.
Yep.
Because the numbers you laid out are they're staggering. We have this explosion in cost happening at the exact same time the value seems to be falling off a cliff.
It's the perfect storm. You mentioned the Harvard cost, right? Up 163% between 2001 and 2026. We're talking about nearly $87,000 a year.
That's not just sticker shock anymore. For most families, that is an impossible number. It's a life-altering investment decision.
It is, and it's an investment decision that, if you look at the data, starts to seem, well, fundamentally irrational.
How so?
Because of that core contradiction you pointed out. The cost has soared, but the actual need for the degree, at least according to employers, has just plummeted. That Indeed hiring lab report from January 2024 is the key here.
Right. What were the numbers on that again?
It's a shockingly low number. Only 17.8% of U.S. job postings even bothered to explicitly require a 4-year degree. 17%.
And the really stunning part for me was the flip side of that coin.
The other number, yeah.
That 52%, over half of those job postings, listed no formal education requirement at all.
At all. Think about what that means. The majority of employers out there aren't even asking for the ones. The one thing the university system has told us for 50 years is the absolute bare minimum for successful life.
And all of this is happening while we're carrying this mountain of debt as a society.
A mountain is the right word. As of 2025, it's about $1.8 trillion in student loans. And that's not just some abstract number on a government spreadsheet.
No, it's real. It has real-world consequences.
Massive consequences. It's delaying people buying homes. It's killing entrepreneurship because who can take a risk when you have that much debt? It's preventing people from building any kind of wealth. What was sold as an investment has, for millions, become this inherited economic anchor pulling them down.
And in the past, you could at least justify that debt because the universities, they held all the cards. They had a monopoly.
Exactly. Knowledge was scarce. If you wanted to learn from the top experts, if you wanted access to the big libraries, the labs, you had to go to the institution. You had to pay the price of admission.
The bottleneck is just, it's gone.
Completely gone. And the main reason is the AI tipping point. We just don't have a scarcity problem with information anymore. The same ideas, the same theories from a lecture at Harvard are, right there on your phone instantly for free.
And students are using it. It's not some far-off future.
No, it's happening right now. That 2025 Student Voice Survey is a bombshell. It found that 85% of students reported using generative AI for their coursework in the last year.
85%? Let that sink in. AI isn't just a tool some kids are using to cheat. It's functionally part of the curriculum, even if the schools don't want to admit it.
It is the curriculum in some way. So if AI can write your first draft, if it can synthesize all the research for you, what exactly is that $87,000 paying for?
It changes the whole value proposition.
Right.
It has to shift from just getting the information to
what?
Verifying it, applying it.
Exactly. Verification and application. And that forces a total rethink of what hiring managers are actually looking for. And we're seeing this play out in the real world. Forget the theory, look at the practice.
You're talking about that developer in Austin.
Yeah, let's call him Leo. His story is the perfect example. He didn't go the traditional Ivy League route at all. Instead, he just spent, 18 months laser focused on building skills he could actually prove he had.
Like what kind of skills?
Really specific stuff. Specialized prompt engineering, building AI-driven apps. And he put it all in a professional portfolio that anyone in the world could go and look at.
It wasn't about the prestige of the institution. It was about the proof of the work.
100%. So when he goes to interview at this big tech firm, the whole conversation is different. The recruiter doesn't ask about his GPA. They don't even ask to see a diploma.
What do they ask for?
First thing they say is, send me your GitHub link. And then in the interview, they say, okay, show us. Do some prompt engineering for us right now, live. It was a real-time proof of concept.
So the degree, if he'd even had one, would have been, just background noise?
We call it a decorative backdrop. It might look nice, but the focus was entirely on what he could actually do with the tools that mattered today. His portfolio was the key that unlocked the door, not a piece of paper.
And this isn't even a brand new phenomenon, right?
Yeah.
This idea of degrees losing their value has been talked about in sociology for a while.
Oh, for decades. AI is just pouring gasoline on a fire that was already burning. You have to go back to the work of Randall Collins, who talked about credential inflation.
Credential inflation. Unpack that for us.
It's a simple supply and demand problem. When a society dramatically increases the supply of something, in this case college degrees, the value of each individual degree inevitably goes down. You need more and more of it to qualify for the same level of job.
So it's like a structural treadmill. You have to run faster and faster just to stay in the same economic spot.
That's the perfect analogy, and we've seen this happen before. Think about the high school diploma in, say, the 1920s. Back then, fewer than 10% of Americans had one. So if you did, it was a huge deal. It was your ticket to a good, middle-class, white-collar job.
A real status marker.
A huge one. Now, fast forward to today. A high school diploma. What does that get you? It barely qualifies you for entry-level service work. The Bachelor of Arts degree has followed that exact same path just 50 years later. And
what's driving it? Is it that the jobs are actually getting that much more complex, or is something else going on?
Collins makes a really strong case that it's supply-driven, not demand-driven. It's not that the economy suddenly needs millions more people with advanced degrees. It's that the education system itself just kept expanding. More colleges, more programs, more seats to fill, and it created this social pressure.
An arms race.
It's an arms race. The jobs haven't gotten 163% more complicated, but the degrees have gotten 163% more expensive and way more common.
So if a lot of the actual high-tech skills are learned on the job or through self-study like Leo did, what function does the university degree even serve anymore?
It's primarily a screening mechanism, a filter. Collins calls them bureaucratic markers. They're not certifying that you have a specific valuable skill. They're certifying that you have a certain cultural background and, the grit to spend 4 years jumping through bureaucratic hoops.
A ticket to a yet higher level lottery. That's the phrase he used.
That's the one. Its real purpose is to sort people for a competition that happens later. The system just keeps expanding because everyone is terrified of being left behind.
Okay, so if the traditional degree is becoming a decorative backdrop and the transcript is, basically useless for telling you what someone can do, what's the alternative? What's the new currency that employers actually trust? This gets us into the second part of our deep dive.
Right. What's filling the vacuum? And the answer is the rise of micro-credentials and specifically digital badges.
Explain the difference. If I see advanced computer science on a transcript, what's wrong with that?
What's wrong is that it's vague. It could mean 100 different things at 100 different schools. The industry needs something precise, standardized, and that they can check themselves.
And a micro-credential is that?
It is. It's a certification that proves you have competency in one very specific, very granular skill. And the digital badge is the key. It's the visual proof. But it's what's inside the badge that matters.
You're talking about the metadata. What makes that so much better than a paper certificate you hang on the wall?
The metadata is everything. Let's say an employer is looking at a candidate and they see a digital badge for, say, IBM cybersecurity, network security from Coursera. They don't have to trust the candidate. They don't have to call a university registrar.
What do?
They just click on the badge. And the metadata embedded inside it, the secure, unchangeable data, instantly tells them everything. It shows them exactly what skills were taught, what the assessment criteria were, how rigorous the test was, who issued it, and when.
It's tamper-proof. It's transparent.
It's total transparency. It moves the whole process of certification out of a slow, old-fashioned bureaucracy and onto a decentralized, verifiable network. That's why the industry trusts it more.
And the market is clearly responding to this.
With incredible speed, you've got these non-traditional players, Google, CompTIA, Coursera leading the charge. I mean, look at IBM's digital badge program. By 2018, it had already generated over 200 million social media impressions. That's massive market recognition.
And what about employers? Is there data on what they prefer?
There is. One study found that 86% of employers who understood the technology said they would prefer a digital badge over a traditional academic transcript to verify a specific skill.
86%. That's an overwhelming number. It's a clear signal that the transcript is failing at its job.
It is. It just doesn't convey usable capability. So if you're a university trying to stay in the game, you have no choice. You have to start competing with these faster, more focused providers.
Which means they have to start offering these things themselves.
Exactly. And we're seeing them do it, especially at the graduate level, with this idea of stackable skills.
Okay, what does that mean, stackable?
Take a university's graduate IT program. They know they have all these mid-career professionals who need to learn a new skill like data science, but they can't just quit their job for 2 years to get a full master's degree. They need something faster.
So what's the solution? How do they structure it?
They take their existing 12-credit specialty tracks in high-demand areas like cybersecurity, and they repackage them as shorter, standalone certificates. You can complete one, get the credential and the digital badge right away, and get back to work.
And the stackable part?
The stackable part is that if you decide later on you do want the full master's degree, those certificates you already earned automatically count toward it. They stack on top of each other.
That's smart. It's basically breaking down a big, intimidating product into smaller, more marketable, and more immediately useful pieces.
It's a win-win. The student gets a faster return on their investment and feels more engaged. The employer gets a clear signal of what that student can do. And the university stays relevant. It's an essential strategic move.
This whole shift towards, verifiable competence, it feels like part of a much bigger cultural swing or return to functionalism. We're moving away from the abstract, find yourself model of education.
And back toward utility. Toward craftsmanship. And the story that really brings this home, the one that shows the absolute collapse of the old degree's return on investment, is the one about the woman we'll call Sarah and her younger brother.
Yeah, tell us about Sarah's situation. It's a pretty brutal example of this broken promise.
It really is. So Sarah did everything she was supposed to do. She went to a good 4-year college, got a liberal arts degree, and in the process, she racked up $80,000 in student loan debt.
$80,000. And what field was her degree in?
A field that, ironically, is now being heavily automated by the exact generative AI tools we were just talking about. So she's stuck. She has these huge monthly payments, and she's struggling to find any work that actually uses that expensive education.
And meanwhile, her younger brother saw all this happening.
He saw her struggle, and he made a cold, rational, what you could call an anti-passion choice.
Functionalist choice.
The functionalist choice.
Yeah.
He skipped the 4-year university experience entirely. Instead, he enrolled in a 6-month intensive vocational program.
What was he learning?
Tangible, hard skills, things a robot can't easily do. Advanced HVAC systems, industrial robotics maintenance, the stuff that keeps the physical world running.
And the outcome?
The outcome is a dramatic contrast. He is completely debt-free, he's earning a very high income, and he has a skill set that is in constant demand. His financial future is secure, while his sister's is uncertain at best.
It's the moment that whole college for all idea just smacks into the hard wall of economic reality. The goal isn't finding yourself anymore. It's about getting a skill, debt-free, that a machine can't take away from you.
A resurgence of utility. It's a massive cultural shift.
And when young people realize that the promise has been broken, they're going to talk about it. They're going to express that disappointment. And what's fascinating is how differently that story gets told on platforms like TikTok, depending on where you are in the world.
Right. This is where you see a huge economic failure get filtered through very different cultural lenses. Let's compare the U.S. and China.
Okay, so in the U.S., how's that story of disappointment framed?
In the U.S., it's almost always framed using what we call an investment ROI idiom. The degree was sold to them as a financial investment, so when it fails, they talk about it in terms of a bad return on investment.
So they use sarcasm, direct criticism.
A lot of it. You see thousands of videos ranking the top 10 most useless degrees. You see very political content directly attacking the old pull yourself up by your bootstraps arguments.
Yeah.
American youth tend to turn their frustration into a kind of rhetorical confrontation. They demand accountability.
And how does that compare to how young people in China navigate that same feeling?
It's a very different approach, partly because they're operating in a more culturally and algorithmically constrained environment.
Yeah.
They tend to use what we call scarcity and fairness scripts, and they rely heavily on self-deprecating humor and metaphor to soften the critique.
It's a safer strategy.
It's safer, and it also performs better on the platforms. Give us an example of that kind of metaphorical language. So you'll see a lot of creators who maybe had these high prestige jobs, a journalist, a doctor, and they've quit to become a live streamer or some other kind of gig worker. They'll use a phrase like, I almost forgot what I used to do.
Wow. That's a really deep and ironic way of talking about leaving your career.
It is. It's a light comedic way of signaling that their old professional identity, the one that they spent years and a lot of money building, has become totally irrelevant in the new economy.
It's a way to talk about a huge structural failure without directly criticizing the structure.
Exactly. It's a safety valve. It neutralizes the personal disappointment and makes it relatable and, frankly, algorithmically friendly. The platforms love content that is emotionally clear and structurally replicable, and these self-mocking narratives are perfect for that.
So you have two groups of young people facing the same core problem. Their education isn't paying off. But one group confronts it with data and sarcasm, and the other resigns to it with humor and metaphor.
It's a perfect illustration of how the same economic crisis gets filtered through different cultural and technological systems.
Okay, so we've established the academic side of the university is in crisis. The credential is weak, the debt is high. And yet, we started this whole thing with that massive contradiction. One part of the university is richer and more powerful than ever. We have to pivot now. We have to talk about the elephant in the stadium.
This is the great paradox of modern higher education. We have to move into this third section and really talk about college sports as the essential anchor, both socially and economically.
Just so counterintuitive.
It is. But college sports are doing something that the rest of the university can't. They're functioning as a business, a cultural ritual, and an identity engine all at the same time. And they produce something that AI can never, ever replicate.
And what's that?
Repeated, high-stakes, live communal experiences. You can't automate the feeling of being in a stadium with 100,000 other people.
And the money involved is just, it's on another level. The Big Ten media deal, what was it, over $7 billion?
Over $7 billion, over 7 years. And then you look at a single school like the University of Texas. In one fiscal year, 2024, Their athletic department generated around $331.9 million in revenue.
Those aren't university department numbers, those are corporate numbers.
They are, and that revenue stream is absolutely critical to the survival of the institution as a whole. We have to understand the ripple effect here.
What do you mean by ripple effect?
At a powerhouse school like Texas, that football money doesn't just stay with the football team. It flows into the main athletic budget. It pays for everything. It supports all the non-revenue sports, the track teams, the swimming teams that otherwise would lose millions of dollars.
But does any of it ever leave athletics? Does it get to the academic side?
It does, and this is the crucial part. Those successful athletic departments often generate a surplus, and that surplus can be transferred to the main university budget. Texas Athletics, for instance, sent about $40 million to the university over 4 years.
$40 million? For what?
To directly support students and academic programs. So this completely reframes the relationship. Academics are still the official mission, but economically, the athletic department is the engine. It's the cash cow that's keeping the whole farm afloat.
Which brings us to this idea of the social anchor. If the classroom and the library aren't the center of the universe anymore, what's holding the community together?
That's where sports come in. Sociologists use the term social anchor to describe any institution that helps build and maintain social capital things, like trust, networks, a sense of shared identity.
And the athletic department has become that for the university.
It's become the university's front porch. It's the most visible, most emotionally resonant part of the institution. It provides national exposure and a unifying force that nothing else can.
Why is the stadium the one thing AI can't replace?
Because it's visceral. It's about a shared physical experience.
Yeah.
Think back to the image from the opening. 3 generations of the same family, the grandfather, the mother, the freshman student, all standing together, wearing the same colors, feeling the same anxiety and hope.
The knowledge is a commodity you can get online, but that feeling is not.
That feeling is not. The stadium is the physical, immovable soul of the American university. It's where identity is forged across generations and where it stays alive long after you've forgotten what you learned in freshman chemistry.
That communal ritual is more powerful than the academic product. People will fly across the country and spend $1,000 to go to the big game. They won't do that for a history lecture.
Not a chance. And that shared high-stakes ritual creates this incredibly durable bond among alumni, students, the whole community. It's the social capital that keeps the network alive and keeps the donations flowing, frankly.
And while all this social bonding is happening, the actual athletes at the center of it are becoming more and more professionalized.
Absolutely. The name, image, and likeness system, NIL, has completely changed the game. The market is projected to hit something like $1.67 billion in the 2024-25 cycle. That's almost double what it was just a few years ago.
It rewrites the entire bargain, doesn't it?
Completely. The new bargain is this. The university provides the massive platform. The TV exposure, the state-of-the-art facilities, the brand, and the athlete provides the performance that captures all the attention. And now they get to convert that attention directly into their own economic value.
So they're effectively professional athletes. But what keeps them tied to the university? Why doesn't it just become a minor league system?
That academic tether is the key to the university's survival. This is the crucial point. Unlike a pro league, to play college sports, you have to be an enrolled student and you have to maintain academic eligibility.
So that legal requirement binds the incredibly powerful, profitable sports enterprise to the university's core academic mission.
It forces them to stay together. It's the glue that holds the modern university together as a single entity in a way that just a digital community or an entertainment brand couldn't.
And we're seeing this shift confirmed in the business structures themselves now.
Yes. The final proof is the move toward open alignment with professional entertainment economics. In December of 2025, the University of Utah approved a partnership with the private equity firm Otro Capital.
A private equity firm.
A private equity firm to come in and oversee their revenue-generating athletic businesses. That is an official institutional admission that college sports are no longer just an extracurricular activity. They are capital-intensive business assets that require professional financial management to maximize their value.
So as technology automates more of our lives, the value of these live, unautomatable spectacles just keeps going up.
It will only accelerate.
Okay. So we've laid out these 3 massive shifts. The degrees collapsing, functional skills are on the rise, and sports are now the center of gravity. For our last section, let's zoom out. What are the deeper sociological implications here? What does this all mean for class, for society, and what kind of radical ideas is this failure inspiring?
Right. If you go back to the sociology of it all, this credential inflation has a really predictable outcome for society. The modern high-tech economy, it creates a bifurcation. It splits the labor force.
Into what, two groups?
You get a small, highly skilled expert sector, maybe 20% of the workforce, doing the really advanced R&D, the critical strategy. And then you get a massive proportion of jobs that are routine service, maintenance, or menial work that doesn't require much education at all, even though the people doing them are often way over-credentialed.
And you said earlier that this whole system, the student debt and all of it, acts as a kind of social pressure valve.
It's a huge political pressure valve. Think about it. The high cost and long duration of college effectively warehouses millions of young people. It keeps them busy, it keeps them occupied, and crucially, it keeps them off the official unemployment rolls.
So the student loan system is, what, a hidden welfare system?
In many ways, that's exactly what it is. But it's a politically palatable one because it's not framed as welfare or social dependency. It's framed under the ideology of opportunity and individual ambition.
It's a way to mask the fact that there just aren't enough good jobs to go around.
It masks structural unemployment, and it masks growing class inequality. The whole ideology of higher education, that it's both necessary for the economy and a democratic opportunity for all, it functions like a secular religion. It compels everyone to participate even when the financial return isn't there, and that masks the fact that the game is increasingly rigged.
And this strain, this competition, it doesn't just create stratification in society. It's happening inside the universities themselves.
Oh, absolutely. The endless competition for prestige forces universities into this brutal internal stratification. It creates a system that really only benefits a tiny, highly paid research elite.
The star professors.
The star professors. They command huge salaries because universities are in a bidding war for their prestige, for the research grants they bring in. They become these status symbols for the institution.
And who ends up paying the price for that system?
The price is paid by a growing professorial underclass, the adjuncts, the temporary lecturers, the people who actually do the majority of the teaching. They're often paid poverty wages, a few $1,000s per course, with no benefits and zero job security. The gap between the tenured star and the adjunct instructor is massive.
So we have a system that is failing on the outside and is deeply stratified on the inside. When a system fails that completely, it's bound to inspire some radical new ideas for how to replace it.
It does. You start to see these future-forward concepts for how you would govern a society where AI and automation are the norm, and some of them are pretty radical.
Tell us about one of them, this idea of an AI-driven meritocracy.
So in this vision of the future, all positions of leadership and influence would be awarded based purely on demonstrated merit. And that merit wouldn't be judged by humans with all our biases. It would be assessed transparently and constantly by AI algorithms analyzing massive amounts of data.
So the goal is to eliminate things like nepotism, legacy admissions, old boys networks.
Exactly. And the whole system would run on a blockchain for transparent, tamper-proof record-keeping of all government actions. It's a vision of pure technological competence.
That's the governance model. What about the economic model? Because that seems even more radical.
That's where it really breaks from our current world. The model proposes a mandatory wealth redistribution mechanism, a hard cap, where no single person or company could have more than 10 times the wealth of the society's least wealthy person.
A 10x wealth cap. That's an incredible constraint on capitalism as we know it. What's the thinking behind that?
The justification is that if AI is doing most of the productive work, the old incentives, the idea that there's the possibility of vast wealth to drive innovation, they become obsolete. The 10x cap is designed to ensure maximum social equality and prevent the kind of hyper-concentration of wealth that we see today, which they argue leads to instability.
It's a fascinating thought experiment, a perfectly efficient, transparent model on paper. But what are the obvious criticisms?
Well, the first is that it clashes directly with traditional Western ideas about individual economic freedom. But the deeper sociological critique is that the very idea of meritocracy is flawed.
How so?
Because achievement is never just about pure skill. It is always, always dependent on opportunity. If you don't first eliminate the structural advantages that people get from birth, from wealth, from access, then just applying an AI algorithm on top might actually make things worse. It could just lock in those pre-existing advantages forever.
So to bring this all together, what does this mean for you as someone trying to navigate this landscape?
Big.
We've seen the university's old monopoly on knowledge get completely shattered by AI. That's forcing this huge shift back to functional, verifiable skills, digital badges, vocational training.
And at the same time, the institution itself is being saved, not by its Nobel laureates or its libraries, but by the one thing it does that is unique, commercial, and deeply communal: college sports.
The crisis is forcing a total redefinition of what a university is for. It's clearly not a guaranteed ticket to economic security anymore, the way it might have seemed back in 1999.
No. Its most enduring function might be shifting. It's becoming a place, a physical location, for non-automated human development.
A place where you still forge an identity, where you learn to compete, where you build social capital, and have those complex in-person mentorships.
And critically, it's a place that needs that massive, physical, non-automated ritual, the Saturday football game, to generate the money and the social glue to hold the whole system together. The ability of sports to sustain that shared sense of place, to foster that enduring identity, that may be the single most important key to the American university's survival.